All right. Hello and welcome. I wanted to introduce you to a new podcast, a new media channel that I'm developing. And this is the first episode, sort of just an introduction episode of what's going on, what the production is going to be about, and that sort of thing. I've been doing a lot of producing, and I have a podcast, Breaking Digital. I do a lot of broadcasting as well with a lot of digital transformation topics, with wiki brands and a few other podcasts and videos and that sort of thing. So I'm just trying to focus everything and sort of put together a new show that really kind of helps align all the things that are really important in the digital space and the digital marketing and digital strategy and that sort of thing. So really excited to be able to do this and to bring it to this format, working with Headspace TV as well, to bring this out to entrepreneurs around the world and around the globe as well, which is really quite fascinating. And really comes down to what I believe, foundations, digital strategy, and every great business has an even greater foundation. And we really need to sort of look at what foundation are we building, right? What are the pieces that we're putting together, and how are we actually putting these pieces? And digital can obviously be a little bit confusing, a little bit overwhelming, and so we really need to sort of take an active part in how we actually do things. So welcome to Digital Strategy Foundation shows. My name is Doyle Buehler, and I'm the author of Breakthrough: Unleash Your Remarkable Brand Value, Influence, and Authority. And I've been in the digital space for about 17 years through startups, growing companies, agencies, and everything in between. So I've been able to see what works, right, and what doesn't, some of my own failures, as well as how businesses can actually leverage their digital ecosystem with their assets and their strategies, which is absolutely key. Anybody can do tactics, right? Strategy takes more thinking, more planning, more understanding, more knowledge. It's not just flying by the seat of your pants, hoping that business will get better, right? It won't unless you understand and implement the strategies from the strong foundation. And that's really what the show is about. It's about how to develop what I call your digital genius, your strategies to better be able to navigate, let's be honest, a confusing and sometimes overwhelming world of digital websites, social media, transformation, social selling, you name it, SEO, content management, content is king, all that kind of stuff. If it's online, I'll be talking about it. Okay. This will help you build a strong foundation. And like I said, if you don't have a foundation, you're not building something that will last. And this is again why I love this sort of point that I've created. It's every great business has an even greater foundation, and that's true in so many ways. I mean, yes, other aspects are important of the business operations and HR and your team and that sort of thing. But you know what? If you don't have a strong foundation in the digital space, this is kind of your marketing arm. This is where you're actually connecting with your audience, connecting with your customer. So it's really, really important that you have all those pieces in place so that they're actually working quite well and working together, working in unison also. So it's really good that we have that. So this just a quick overview in terms of the show format. I'm going to be talking with experts in the field. I'm going to be talking with businesses who are making things happen, that are getting to their breakthrough. Some of them are going to be live. Some of them will be recorded. I'm also going to be having what I call a digital blockbuster Q&A, where we can basically talk about specific topics and answer your specific questions about what's going on, or how to fit this piece together and that sort of thing. So that's really important. I'm going to be talking about the state of digital, what's going on, what's really important, the trends that are happening, what you need to look out for, as well as how to build your breakthrough as well. And as I said before as well, I'll be having some special guests in my podcast, Breaking.Digital. I bring in experts from around the world, digital marketing influencers and strategy people who are able to really put those pieces together. So we'll be continuing that as well. So what will I be covering? Strategy. What I call strategic architecture is building a foundation. That's fundamentally what it is. It's how do you actually put these pieces in place to create a plan for your company, and then obviously continue with that plan going forward. Can be talking about why the funnel is dead, right? And what you need to be doing differently, how you need to be creating the journey for your audience. as well, because it can be a long and complicated journey, and it's really important that you're able to understand those steps and get your audience rather to be able to create that journey for them. We kind of get lost a lot of times in terms of thinking that, well, we're the hero, right? But we're not. And it comes down fundamentally to your customer. They're the hero and you're the guide, right? Be the Yoda, as I say. You're not Luke Skywalker, you're Yoda. You really have to guide your customer along that path to overcome their challenges. And this is the journey. And another aspect of this is what I call the 1 degree. And this really is defining, won't have time to get into that story right now, but this really is defining how you can actually stay on track. We often talk or hear about, the 1% or 8% or whatever, which is a good measurement, but it's actually a relative measurement. When you're talking about accuracy, you're talking about a degree from the ideal, right? And so if you take a circle 360 degrees, you divide that up into 360 degrees, you get 1 degree. And if you actually have 1 degree, you know exactly what that entails. You have a direction, you have a vector that's pointing in the direction. So it's a lot different than saying, oh, I want to be in the top 1%. What you're saying when you want to be in the top 1 degree is actually that how can I achieve that alignment across everything to get to my destination? And it's quite simple. There's a rule of thumb in flying that goes that for every kilometer that you travel, for every 10 kilometers you travel forward, if you're 1 degree off, you'll be 1 kilometer off track, right? So if you're flying across the country, guess what? You're not actually going to arrive at the destination. So there's some key strategies that need to be enabled to make sure that you're able to stay on track as well with that 1 degree. I've also been talking about what I call the digital keystone. So the keystone is that stone that humans have developed over thousands of years to be able to actually pull together structures and create an architecture of buildings and bridges and canals and waterworks and that sort of thing. So the keystone, the digital keystone, is really key because this is what gives you that one piece that says, hey, this is how we put it all together. So it's going to be sort of an exchange of how do we actually put these pieces together? What does this keystone mean, and how does it actually work in a business line as well? I'm also going to be talking about the line of automation, the line of future trends and tools. There's a point, and we're starting to see it, where this is going to be about, where AI and technology and automation are going to be able to rise above a certain level and do certain things for you. But if you're just sort of sitting at that level, you have this gap, and there's going to be this innovation gap, this automation gap. And we need to be able to identify that specifically so we can actually correct for it. As well. Looking at digital trends affecting businesses, what's coming up, what's Facebook doing that might affect your strategy and your tactics as well. What potential channels are coming up, that sort of thing. So really kind of looking at and seeing at what's affecting us. Is social selling really sort of as important as people think it is, or what do we need to actually prepare for the next round of marketing technology, MarTech, and that sort of thing. My favorite words as well, buzzword bingo. So I'm going to be talking about those, finding out what really bugs people in terms of, I've heard this word so many times, I'm not sure I want to use it again. Might even produce buzzword bingo. All right. And as I mentioned, talking about digital storytelling in the digital age as well. Digital selling, it is different. Conceptually, it's fairly the same, but there are some steps that need to be put in place. We hear about social selling. Is that really selling? Yes, it is. But what other pieces do we actually need to be able to put that in place? And there's a whole structure and framework that that can be used to be able to do that. And then talking about these digital frameworks, right? These are really important to help you build your keystone, to help you build your get you to your 1 degree, to build your foundation, because at the end of the day, that's what's really important, and that's really how things are going to get done with your business. And so I'm really looking forward to putting this together and getting some great content out there and discussing some really cool ideas in the world of digital and digital transformation and social selling and that sort of thing. So I'm really looking forward to that. And I just want to leave you with a quick little story as well. If you're following me on LinkedIn, and I would really enjoy it if you did, just look me up on LinkedIn, Doyle Buehler. But I typically write, about some of these strategic issues that are affecting businesses and that sort of thing, and how to actually improve upon that. And one of my posts recently was about business failure, and just sort of talking about, well, why are businesses failing? Like, the statistics, they change from country to country, right? In Australia, I think it's about 45%. In Canada, it's 50%. And don't quote me on this, I don't have the stats right in front of me. But the point is that it's big. Even if it is only 40% that fail within the first 5 years, 40% is an awful lot, right? So how do we actually reduce that? One of the common stats is I think it's around 45% fail within the first 5 years. And then it comes down to about 70%, I think, don't make it to year 10. So there's a lot of failure. And look, there is a lot of reasons as well. But what I believe, fundamentally is that the businesses that don't have a foundation, that aren't looking for that core strategy, that aren't, developing that foundation, are the ones that are, going to be having a harder go at it, because they don't know exactly what to do. They don't know how to develop a solution. They don't know how to create that framework that actually helps them with the business. So digital is really, really important in this, because it's a massive, pardon me, a massive element of what's really going on in the business. And that fundamentally is how we are able to, grow and define a business, is by building this foundation, right? You need a foundation in order to transform. You need a foundation, rather, in order to scale. Okay, so we talk about startups and scale ups and, mature businesses, but what are they doing? They're building a foundation. And again, it can't be just a sort of a fly by night. It has to be a solid strategic architecture that allows you to build upon the pieces, and allows you to pivot, and allows you to sort of set that stage and understand what pieces of your digital ecosystem are important and what isn't. Right? What assets should you be building? What assets should you be, are, or what within social or digital is actually a liability as opposed to an asset? So in order to grow, we need a foundation. In order to transform, we need a foundation. In order to scale, we also need a foundation. Look at the house you're in, look at the office you're in. They all have a foundation, even the car, the roadway, that sort of thing. Every great science and engineering theory started with a foundation. Farming doesn't start with the first harvest. Flying doesn't start with landing at your destination. Businesses don't start with the sale of your products. Digital doesn't start with your website or your social media profile. Learning doesn't start with your degree. The meal doesn't start with a fork and knife. And the Hollywood blockbuster movie doesn't start with you sitting down to watch something, right? There's no 6, 7, 8, or 9 figures without a foundation. There's not even any 1 to 5 figures either. So start with the end of the line. It may seem simple, but it's more than just talk. It's more than just buzzwords. And, if I was to ask you, what would you do differently in your business if you could start over? I'd love to see the results, and maybe I'll do this in a survey. But what if you had a stronger foundation to be able to build upon, right? What if you had a strategy that said that this is really important? This is how we're actually going to deliver our value to our audience. Would that help? At the beginning, it seems pretty easy, starting a business, just flying by the seat of our pants, trying this, doing that, pivoting left, pivoting right, starting here, shifting there, you name it, right? Yet these businesses reach a tipping point, a digital tipping point that drops them in this gap and gives them the biggest ass kicking that they have ever seen before. So we don't want to see that. And I'm not saying it's going to be easy. I'm saying it's going to be worth it as well. So that's all I have. I wanted to quickly give you a rundown. Hopefully that was helpful. Hopefully it was informative. I'd love it if you could join me on this journey as well. Learn more about digital, developing your digital genius as well, so that you can build these things, and you can build the assets, and you can build your ecosystem for your audience, and obviously for your business as well at the end of the day. So that's it. If you enjoyed this, please like, share, comment. Would love to hear from you, and looking forward to talking more and discussing your digital issues. So, all right, my name is Doyle Buehler, and I will see you online.